or American death camps for that matter, you picked up when you were touring this slaughterhouse. You know, just absolute murder. And you could see and smell and feel and hear why humanity has such a hard time. Because this is how it's existing. It's existing on slaughter. As long as we're slaughtering these creatures that Krishna has explicitly put here for us to come back to him. Dharma the bull, mother cow giving liquid religion, refining the brain tissues to assimilate the subtle form of spiritual knowledge, Prabhupada writes. We're going to have to. It's such a travesty, a crime. It's such an offense. We're going to have a hard time. And then there's Brahminical culture. So this is, you've been to Ranadesh, huh? Have you been, you know, there's these hills behind Ranadesh. There's these roads that go up the hill. You ever walk up those hills? And I always wanted to see how they got that shot. So I found just a spot. I think I stood on a fence in somebody's yard, and you can see right down there at the castle. So it runs on twin tracks. Brahminical culture, Varnashram culture runs on two things. Brahminical culture and cow protection. And this is the kind of Varnashram that Prabhupada is interested in. Quote, so the example is set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the coward boy, right? That human civilization will advance only on the basis of Brahminical culture and cow protection. So when you read that, I mean, there's such a disconnect between what you're reading and how we're living in these cities. Of course, we're here for a good reason, to reach people, right? This is like we're first responders of a catastrophe in these Kali Yuga cities. It's not as obvious as in a place like Mumbai. I mean, Copenhagen is relatively, it's downright peaceful compared to a place like Mumbai, you know. Mumbai, your hometown, I'm sorry. But there's such a disconnect between, what Prabhupada's writing, that we can't be happy unless we protect the cow, and unless we cultivate Brahminical culture. As soon as there is fall down from Brahminical culture, and as soon as there is discrepancy in the protection of cows, there will be no more peace in the world. Yeah. So maybe modern humanity can't see it, but that's what's going on underneath. The laws of nature are working, and so we're going to have to be slaughtered. And it used to be that they used to have wars, with battle lines. Now the war is everywhere. Now it could happen. You might go to the metro station and get blown up. It's everywhere. Now the whole earth is being terrorized by the backlog of its horrendous karma. So much cow slaughter, so much abortion, so much raping of Mother Earth for oil. Forget it. It's like horrible. So, therefore he, Krishna, specifically said, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. First is the cow, has to be protected. Why? Why is the go before the Brahmana in the prayer?
Because the Brahmin needs to give his sacrifices.
Yeah, but why is go? Okay, so you're saying
he cannot live without a cow because he has to do the sacrifice for the king. He needs to milk for the king.
And not only that, he needs the milk to understand the scriptures he studies. Milk as it is, not the stuff you buy in the store.
This is just one word I just translated.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. So, Prabhupada calls it liquid religion. And, we can't, it's specifically designed. Milk as it is, as I said. What they do for shelf life and money is they monkey with the molecular structure, especially the homogenization process. It's not even milk. And that's why I have this whole artificial industry that's sprung up. It's called lactose intolerant, right? We're not allergic to the milk, we're allergic to what they do to the milk. That's what we're allergic to, but they don't know that or admit that. So to see how disconnected we are from the plain living and high thinking of the above reference, let me ask you, why is there no Brahminical culture without cow protection? So you've heard of, because there's no more ghee, there's no more milk as it is. I mean, even the urine of the cow is running. And the dung. I mean, such an animal. I don't think there's any other animal like that. Certainly not human. Yeah, where everything coming from the cow is a gift. It's beneficial. It's a big hint. Why protect cows and bulls long after they're productive? It doesn't make any sense in the modern context. In 1983 at Gitanagari, we were invited by the Pennsylvania Dairymen Herd Improvement Association to their annual banquet because we won first prize. We had the best breed of cows in our, best herd of cows in our breed. Brown Swiss cows. We had a herd of brown Swiss, and we got number one because we had the most milk per cow and the most butterfat content. So they invited us to the banquet to accept our award. And we went as it is. In January, dhoti, shaved heads, tilak, all our milk and milk products, including ice cream and butter and all sandesh and burfi, butter and yogurt, shrikant. And there we are at the banquet. You know, we couldn't eat anything there, of course. But I think we ate their fruit salad. Yeah. And all these farmers were there in their best overalls. And their overalls, and then they have little bow ties or something. And they're looking at us. You know, they're just looking at us. And they're all asking us, you know, they can't argue with us because we won the prize, right? So you can't argue with success. But they're all wondering, you can see this look in their faces, and they're all looking at us, and they're coming up to us privately, and they say, how do you make it? How do you make it? They mean, how do you pay the bills? How do you make it without slaughtering your cows? And that's the only... Because they're living in this totally artificial economy, you know, where you have to slaughter the cows. As soon as the cow's milk production goes below a certain level, off to the slaughterhouse, right? And so, how do you make it? And so we told them the truth, but we didn't tell them the whole truth. We just told them the Vedic truth. And we told them the truth. So, yeah, I think you understand. And the truth is that if you treat the cow like a mother, she will produce more if you treat her right. And if you treat the bull, you know, fairly and firmly to plow, harrow, disc, harvest, you know, do all the chores, the heavy work, then he's very valuable. Fertilize your land, and you don't have to go into debt with all these tractors and chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. But what we didn't tell them is how we were actually paying the bills at Gitanagari. We had $1 million oil painting business, and I was one of the salesmen. You know. We didn't tell them about that. We had a very expensive hobby going on there, and it was nice, and we had fun. You know, I was writing about it. It was wonderful. Writing about ox power and cow protection and logging in the snow and this, food for life, taking our food all around the countryside to these poor people. It was great. We didn't tell them about our $1 million painting business. So we weren't really doing very much wrong. We weren't plowing the profits from our $1 million painting business back into sustainable practices that would allow us, you know, to not have to do that stuff. We were just, you know, refugees from the cities and the suburbs, living in the country, keeping our old ways and not really, you know, getting serious about going off the grid and plain living and high thinking. So ultimately it fell apart. But it was a little preview of what could be if we did pursue it. So we will now look at some prominent features of Prabhupada's Varnashram vision of how we can reconnect with Krishna culture in the age of Kali. There's Prabhupada. It looks like he's enjoying a relaxed moment in a natural setting. So I would like to read. Robert, why don't you read?
Development of Varna ashram colleges worldwide. to retrain all varnas and ashrams in their social and spiritual duties.
Yeah, in Vedic time, there's no need for a Varnashram college, because why?
It was natural.
Yeah, it was just passed down from generation to generation. You didn't need to rediscover, the plain living and high thinking skills and the samskaras. It was just passed down. So we need remedial help. It's a lost art. Plain living, high thinking, samskara culture. Okay, and forgot your name. Janardhan, okay.
Development of Varnashram college.
No, we just read that.
Sorry. Yeah. A return to Lord Krishna's land and cow, local economy and culture.
Yeah, local. This is the Gandhi, as I said, that Prabhupada liked. Swadeshi. Produce only what you need, use only what you produce. We invited, have you heard of the Mennonites?
Yeah.
Mennonites and the Amish, they're kind of similar. Joseph Menno and Jacob Ammon separately started their own orders. Old, Bible lifestyle, biblical times lifestyle. They wanted to keep it. So they were persecuted in Europe, probably here too, I don't know, at least in Holland and Germany and Austria. They finally came to America with religious freedom. And so there's this one Mennonite lady, her name was Evelyn Snook, and she was a naturalist, and when she was a young woman, she caught cancer, and the doctor sent her home and said, "I'm sorry, we can't help you, ma'am. You have 6 months to live." Anyway, she didn't believe it, so she became an herbalist, and she cured herself with herbs, and that became her life, helping people with herbs to, Krishna says, "Aham Oshadham," I am the healing herb. So Evelyn was really good at that. So we invited her to the farm at Gitanagri to help us identify our natural wealth. All the things that could be used as food. We had 350 acres there, so it was a big piece of land, and also medicine and more. So Evelyn one Saturday came out. She was pretty old, but she, trekked around the farm with us, and then she kept saying, "You people don't even know what you have here. You're living in paradise. You have so many things that could be used as nutritious food, and medicine." And she kept identifying the food and the medicine, and even cosmetics, and soaps, and things, your body care products. So it's true, we just didn't know, but we were just conditioned to go making money and go buying it, right? That was perpetuating our suffering. Land and cow, local economy and culture. So it's much healthier to eat what you grow. And at the heyday of 1980s Gitanagri, we had 117 people and 117 animals. And that was the year we won the prize. And it was so beautiful to see these oxen working. We had these big, long teams, six oxen, it's 3 pair. And the head of the farm, the Paramananda Prabhu, he was expert ox driver. We put out something called the ISKCON Farm Newsletter. You ever see that? You ever hear that? This is in the 80s. Maybe you never got it here. And it was a gold mine of information how to protect cows and work oxen.
What crops were you growing?
Crops, all kinds of crops. Lots of fruits and vegetables and grains and root crops. Name something. Potatoes and tomatoes and strawberries in June.
All types of grains?
And winter crops, we had winter veggies like, kale.
Cabbage,
Kale.
Danes like kale.
Yeah, kale's really good for you.
Which types of grains?
Well, a lot of it was for the cows, but we also had, wheat. Yeah, cracked wheat. We had this this cereal in the morning. It was just heaven. Our own wheat, you know, and then our own milk, real rich milk, and make you work hard. And corn, oh yeah, the best one, the Silver Queen. They have these seeds, different seeds that we buy. Silver Queen, that was the sweetest corn. And of course all the milk products, everybody gained weight. I don't know. We had orchards too. Peaches, pears, apples. Yeah, peaches, pears, and apples. Anyway, it was a good preview of what could be, you know, if we were really serious. The whole thing just sort of, as the communal, you know what happened? The people who were selling the paintings, full-time, I was a part-timer, but full-time, they got tired of it, because they were never getting hungry. They were always out in these shopping malls selling paintings, you know, it was very artificial. And then, you know, being bombarded by that shopping mall culture. So they eventually just stopped it, and that stopped the income. So that was the beginning of the end of that. Eventually what happened was Bhakti Tirtha Swami and his men moved in the early 90s, and they kind of saved the place for a while until he passed away. Now it's reinvented as an ahimsa dairy. Did I mention that? This Indian family from New York State, the Rubbles from Newburgh, New York, they're inspired, they're successful professional, well, I think medical professionals. And so after we had downsized the herd, because we couldn't take care of a lot of cows anymore, the people weren't the people to do it, we downsized the herd. And then they came in later, and they bought a whole bunch of new brown Swiss cows, and it's us old-timers who had been through the hard time, we go, oh no, they're doing it again. They're just artificially buying a lot of cows, and they won't be able to take care of them, and the cows are going to suffer. And they said, no, don't worry. You know, if this business plan fails with the ahimsa dairy, and so far it's holding its own. You know, they're selling protected cow products, milk and milk products from protected cows to the East Coast temples and to, you know, organic people, simple living type people. And so far I think they're doing okay. But if the business plan doesn't work out in the long run, they have sworn on a stack of Bhagavad Gitas that they will protect those cows to the end of their life, because they're Indians, it's in their culture anyway. So, okay, so return to Lord Krishna's land and cow local economy and culture. Did I tell you about in Mayapur? I mean, it's hard even to get the Indian community, the Indians who join ISKCON in India to work cows. Like in Mayapur, 5 years ago, I was coordinating Bhakti Vaibhava at the Mayapur Institute, the first 6 cantos of the Bhagavatam study. So I had Jayadvaita Swami as a guest lecturer one day, and he was lecturing outside. It was a nice day, and we under a tree. He had a table, and then we had chairs. But every once in a while, there was this plowing of a field going on with a tractor. And he would, every time he'd orbit by us, the roar from the tractor drowned us out, so we couldn't hear. So after the second or third pass, Jayadvaita Swami called a timeout, and he said, just a minute, Prabhu. And he walked over by the fence as the tractor was coming his way again, and he was signaling to stop the tractor and, you know, come here. So it turned out to be the head of the Goshala, nice Bengali man named Gaura. So he said, and I was with Maharaj, so he said, Gaura, why are we using there's so many bulls in the Goshala. Aren't you training these bulls? And so Gaura said, well, Prabhu, the kind of people who are joining us in Mayapur, these young men from Bengal, they don't want any part of that. They don't want to, a lot of them were from the villages, and they think it's a step up, you know, to get away from that kind of work. This is in India. What to speak of the West, right? So we have a problem. This is what Krishna does, and we think it's low class to farm. And Balarama's got the plow, he's the farmer Acaraya, right? So Yeah, but now the good news is it's getting better now. Now there's a renaissance at the Gaushal, and the cows are being much better taken care of because more Westerners are getting involved. People who have been inspired, by Prabhupada's vision of cow protection, and the upgrade of the cows is there. And then they're starting to train bulls again. So it's good. Okay, so that's another feature of the kind of varnashram Prabhupada has in mind. And
Mutual respect.
oh, there you go.
A mutual respect and deep appreciation among all classes of people, based on their material independence and spiritual equality as God's servants.
Yeah, there's no need to artificially try to make us all the same materially, because we're not. We're different. But spiritually we're equal, and we can all cooperate to serve Krishna. And it's like Prabhupada said, if I cut my toe, if I step on something, I get a cut on my toe. Now the toe, the feet are the lowest part of the body. So just because that's true, does that mean I disdain my feet? Oh, you're just the Sudra. I ignore you. No, I'm going to marshal all my intelligence and all my resources to get that toe fixed. Or else I'll just be a talking head. I won't be able to go anywhere and do anything. I'll just be talking, and not able to do much. So all parts of the social body are necessary, but they have to work together in harmony and devotional service and not compete, but just cooperate. And yes, here's one more.
Introduction and application of Daivi Varna Ashram principles globally according to time, country and candidate.
This is really important. I mean, even at the grossest physical level of how you live simply, say in Almvics, as compared to near Udupi, that's going to look really different, just from a material point of view. What to speak of the differences in cultures, and the way you're going to see in lesson 8 especially, how the way Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world really differed according to what he called time, country, candidate. Sometimes, we make these resolutions at the GBC level, we make as though one size fits all. No, that's not the way it works. One size doesn't fit all. And if we try to do that, it's not really following Prabhupada. It's imitating him. It's not even imitating. He just didn't do that. So we have to consider time, country, and candidate, and more on that later. And these are two of my favorite references we're going to be looking at in lesson 8 of how Prabhupada did that in CC and in Bhagavatam. Okay, so that's the 4 ways. Let's see if we can remember. What are the 4 ways that Prabhupada used the term? Vedic Varnashram, materialistic. Well, before materialistic there was dormant, sleeping, potential, latent. Materialistic and Daivi. That's the one Prabhupada is ultimately interested in. Now, to make it even more challenging, not only did Prabhupada use the term Varnashram in 4 different contexts, but he applied the Varnashram concept, Krishna's Varnashram, to ISKCON differently over 3 phases of his stay with us. For most of the time Prabhupada was with us, that's what he was saying. Forget it. Forget it. Just forget it, guys. It's a thing of the past. It's once upon a time. It's way back when. Forget it. You can't bring back the past. Forget the past that sleeps. And here's a typical quote. We're going to hear Prabhupada saying it now, live. This was in a question and answer period in 1968. After a Gita class, Prabhupada took questions. And here's one thing Prabhupada said.
Therefore, this is the panacea to engage engage everyone in Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna. This is the only remedy. Now you cannot again introduce the system of Varnashram.
Just chant Hare Krishna, folks. Chant, dance, have festivals, distribute books, distribute prasad. Be happy. Forget about it. Because the needful in those days was to forget about your so-called propensities and just men, women, and children out the door, just distribute books, and chant Hare Krishna. And it was pretty effective. And to put a head back in society, to make everybody, pouring everybody into the Brahminical mold. That's what Prabhupada was doing there. Okay, and that was for 66 to 73. Now, in the first Mayapur festival of any size, Mayapur in Vrindavan, the first time that a significant number of devotees came to India to celebrate Gaura and that whole season there, was 1974. And in 1974, when the devotees all came, Prabhupada dropped a bomb. Remember he dropped the bomb in 1966, right? Accept the spiritual master as God. Remember that? He's always dropping bombs. He was always upsetting the apple cart. He was always spinning us around and, saying something that was revolutionary. And then he'd say, if I told you everything at once, you'd faint. Time was different in Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was with us, time was different because he would compress so much activity in such a short amount of time. Sometimes you'd feel like a whole day, you'd been through a whole lifetime. You've been through a whole life cycle in one day because so much happened. Yeah. Okay, so in 1974, and this is actually a photograph from one of the morning walks. In morning walks in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, Prabhupada dropped a bomb. He appeared to completely reverse himself on Varnashram. Only appeared. And we're going to get into that. Yes, we must establish Varnashram. Humanity is in chaos. And now when you hear the audio, you're going to notice for the first part of the audio, it has one sound quality, and then you're going to hear a little gap, and then another sound quality. Because what I did was I spliced two sound bites together because they complemented each other. One was from Vrindavan Morning Walk, one was from Mayapur, but they were on the same point, and they worked together as a complementary, as a pair. So you're going to hear Prabhupada saying something that we still haven't done 42 years later, but it just blew our minds. See, there's a young Hridayananda, Bhagavan, Pushta Krishna, Hansa Buddha, and they're all either looking very thoughtfully or like, Hridayananda's like, huh? What's going on, Prabhupada? But don't hear it as a contradiction, but listen to this.
The Varnashram college has been established immediately, everywhere. Wherever we have got our center, the Varnashram college was established to train thought and divisions. Because the people are in chaos, how will be able to accept the great level? That's good, right?
See, here's what's happening. There's something happening in the world, and there's something happening in ISKCON too. I need a little more water, but very good. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember this, but in the early 70s, there was the first so-called oil crisis.